and welcome to this Astranti video in which I'll be giving you my top 5 tips for passing the case study exam, or in other words, to achieve case study success. Now, why should you listen to me? Why do you think I've got anything useful to say about the case study? Well, I've been working on CIMA case studies for 6 years now, and I've worked on over 12 operational case study prescenes, numerous other management and strategic prescene exams. And that ranged from doing prescene analysis videos to writing mock exams, all the way up to actually working on producing an exam for CIMA. So when it comes to the case study, there's not much that I don't know about it. So these 5 tips are things that I have observed over the many years of me working on case study exams that help students go from barely passing, perhaps not even passing, to almost guaranteed high marks and case study success. So let's get into them. Tip number 1 is to make sure you plan your answers, and this is one of the most important things you can start doing that will have almost immediate impacts. When I say plan your answers, what I mean is actually spending time at the beginning of your question to plan out exactly what your answer is going to be, rather than just rushing into writing down the first thing that comes into your head, losing focus, having poor structure, etc., etc. That's not the way to do this exam. You must plan your answers, because after all, great results come from great planning. Sometimes you can get great results without a plan, but that requires a lot of luck, and you can't leave it up to luck to pass this exam. So planning is essential for getting good answers in the case study exams. Tip number 2 is to make sure you manage your time well. That means ensuring that you give the appropriate amount of time to the answer as required. So if you have 4 questions, then split your time evenly between those 4 questions. Don't spend most of your time on the first 2 questions and leave yourself stuck with the final 2 questions and barely any time to complete them. The trick here is to be strict with yourself. Allocate a set amount of time to each question and make sure you stick to it. Keep an eye on that clock the entire time you are sitting the exam to give yourself a fair chance of answering later questions. You don't want to use up all your resources on question 1 and find out that actually the topics in question 3 and 4 were much better and you would have been better getting onto those sooner. Tip number 3 is to practice mock exams. Along with planning, this is probably the most valuable thing you can do with your time and money. Practicing a mock exam is like sitting the real thing, but ahead of time, and the results tell you what you are good at and what you are bad at, so you can focus on the things you are bad at and get better at them. So I would recommend that you do at least 1 mock and that you do them under exam conditions, because there's no point doing a mock exam, but you give yourself twice as much time as you'll have in the real exam. Of all the tips, this is probably the one that makes the most difference for students sitting exams. Having that bit of practice and understanding and knowing what to expect when you go into that exam room massively helps with your anxiety and your ability to perform on the day. Tip number 4 is to review the prescene. So the best thing you can do here, what I would recommend, is to watch some of Astranti's prescene analysis videos that we put up for free on YouTube. We also have samples of other analysis videos we do. This will give you a really good understanding of the business and environment. And if you're a little unsure about doing business and environmental analysis and industry analysis, then go and check out some of our videos, and we do a lot of that analysis for you. We break down how that analysis works and we give you the key points for you to apply in your exam. So if you're going into the exam and you don't really understand the company or the industry very well, then you're going to really struggle with writing good, logical answers. Finally, tip number 5 is to look at the marking criteria. And this you can do before the prescene has even been released. All you need to do is go to the CIMA website, download the syllabus, and have a look at what it is that you actually have to do. So for example, if you're watching this video and you've never heard of the 6 core activities or the I can statements, then you really need to go and find that syllabus and have a look at what I'm talking about, because the case study exam is based on a number of core activities. In the operational case study, there are 6. In management and strategic, there are different numbers. The core activities are key areas of the syllabus that you will be tested on, and they have different weightings ranging from 12 to 20% of the overall exam. So if you go into the exam and you're completely unprepared in one of the 6 core activities, then there's a good chance that you will fail your exam. In addition, each core activity has a number of I can statements. The I can statements effectively go along the lines of I can use appropriate technologies to gather data for costing purposes, etc., etc. So it's statements that say what you can do in relation to a core activity. So if you don't know about these, you're not doing yourself any favors, because this is the basis that the exam is sat on. So those are my 5 tips. Just to quickly review. First of all, make sure you start planning your answers. It will help you out a great deal to have done the hard thinking up front, and the actual writing is just a case of putting into long form the ideas in your plan. Step 2, make sure you manage your time well. If you are poor at time management, something you need to work on as you prepare for your exam. Tip 3 is to practice mock exams, and that's a great way to put tips 1 and 2 into practice. So you would do your planning in a mock exam, and you're also learning how to manage your time. Tip number 4 is to review the prescene. There is no point going into this exam if you don't have a solid understanding of the company, and I would highly recommend watching the Astranti videos on our prescene analysis. Tip 5 is to look at the marking criteria. This really just involves understanding what the exam wants from you, what you need to do to perform well in the exam. And in addition to the prescene videos, Astranti actually offer a lot of other products relating to case study. It is our specialty. And one thing I would recommend in addition is mock exams. We write a range of mock exams for each paper, and they're new mock exams each sitting. And what we do is write additional mock exams for the second sitting of the same prescene. So even if you've seen our exams before, you've sat some of our mock exams and you're sitting for the second sitting of the exam, we still write additional ones for that second sitting. So come to our website, have a look and see what we have to offer. Even if you don't want a mock exam, you can sit our free mock exam without having to pay a penny. Okay, there is one more bonus tip, and really it's a summary of all the tips I've made so far. The bonus point is to be prepared. Don't go into this exam thinking you'll be able to wing it. Maybe you've just flicked through the prescene and you kind of vaguely remember what you studied in your OT exams, and you know roughly what it is that you've got to do, but you're not entirely sure, but you're relying on your memory of the syllabus to do well. Well, students who do that fail. The pass rate on this exam isn't particularly high, so there's a good chance that you will fail it, and if you fail to prepare, you are effectively looking at failing this exam. So take my 5 tips into consideration. Even if you can't do all 5 of them, just do a few of them and see what difference it makes to your exam approach for these case study exams. Thank you very much for watching my video. I hope it was useful to you. Let us know if any of those tips work for you and what difference it makes. Feel free to get in touch with us either on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, any of the social medias. And we, of course, have lots of videos on YouTube. And you can find us on our website, www.astranti.com. Best of luck in your exams.